Hello everyone and welcome to the final round of the SimRacingOnline DRM challenge. This of course round 6 of 6 from Zolder in Belgium, Belgium's second most famous race circuit, and we have some multi-class racing for you today. Technically 2 championships to be decided. Realistically only one of them is still open, and I will speak to you about that now. So of course the championship that's still open is DRM Division 1. Tim Muttram versus Lauren Lons versus Filip Stojanovic. Now Lons can still win it if Tim Muttram finishes 7th or lower and Lons wins. It's unlikely, but it is definitely possible. I'm pretty sure we have enough Div 1 cars for that, but really that would take a bit of bad luck for Tim Muttram, who's currently second in the order, and Filip Stojanovic is a further 6 points behind Lons, so I think is probably still in contention, but it's even tougher for him. In Division 2, the championship is technically still open, but the only way that it's going away from Tony Talviti is if at least 11 Div 2 cars show up, and I'm pretty sure we've got nowhere near that number at this point in time. So long as Talviti actually starts the race, and he's looking good for that now, currently leading the Div 2 standings in qualifying, then he will take the championship. Paul Anstey is currently a second down on his lap. Phil Brown is going up on his time now. Brown was impressive in practice just now, looking pretty quick, and he may actually be able to challenge Muttram with this lap. It's looking good. 17 cars have set laps so far, although that's over the 2 different classes. Santini now up to second in the order. What can Brown do about that? Out of the chicane and across the line, as Paul Anstey goes up to 6th. Brown goes up to 2nd, so I told you he was looking quick. That was pretty good from Phil Brown there. Let's take a look at someone who hasn't started a lap yet. No, that was Martikainen just finishing one. Stojanovic, is he starting one? Yes, potentially. Anyway, let's watch him anyway. Through turn 1 and towards turn 2, which is a right-hander of course. One of the most difficult corners. You've really got to anticipate the exit and then keep it sliding through the right-hander. Turn 3 coming up next. Ooh, a lot of understeer into there. Stojanovic knows what he's doing though. He's leading this session for a reason. One of the fastest drivers that SimRacingOnline has to offer into one of the fastest chicanes in motorsports. I'm a bit worried about track limits there. There's not really a good way to police it. I think the game does police it to an extent, but not maybe not quite enough. Then we have a much slower chicane. That's Stojanovic there almost getting held up by Martikainen. Very, very close. Potentially did get held up a little bit. Still up in the second sector though, and then into what feels very much like a hairpin. I think it's only 90 or so degrees, but it is pretty tight, pretty slow. And now for another chicane, the third of 3 proper chicanes on this track, which brings you uphill and towards the start-finish line for the end of a lap. Now someone told me actually that there is a way that I can turn my cursor off so you can't see it floating across the screen like that, and I actually forgot to put that into effect before this, so I'm going to see if I can go back and look that up, just so you don't have to be distracted by that. But in the meantime, qualifying continues. Stojanovic 133.479 puts him top of the order, first of anyone. There's Tim Muttram, who is second, actually very close to him on track. That's interesting. And currently top of the Div 2s is Tony Talviti. Let's have a look at some of the different cars in this series, since I haven't in a while. Stojanovic, who you saw just now, is in one of the Toyota Celicas. And Tim Muttram here is in a BMW M1. Pretty much the only BMW M1 we've seen all season, I'm pretty sure. Below him, there's Jos Ogos in the Ford Escort. And Ogos has really been outperforming that car all season long. That's one of the Div 2 cars. Matteo Santini has a Ford Capri. Very quick, lots of downforce. Ford Capri is very, very good. Jari Lakkinen also has a Capri. Kirill Kirilov has what is considered potentially to be the fastest of the Div 2s, the Lancia Beta 80, and Kirilov there currently running in 8th in the overall order, just behind, or second in the Div 2 category, behind another Lancia who is Talviti. Phil Brown in the Jolly Club Ferrari. Beautiful. I don't know about beautiful, to be honest. It really depends on your taste in Ferraris. Not one of my favourites, but intriguing looking Ferrari, I'd say. Then you have Max Shepard in the second type of BMW, the Div 2 BMW, which is the 2002. No, it's not the 2002, is it? It's the 3 something I. Let me double check that. Sorry, I've forgotten. Yeah, Max Shepard, the driver who could still theoretically challenge Talviti for the Div 2 category championship, but only if 11 cars turn up in that class, which is extremely unlikely at this point. Tim Muttram, and it looks like we're back to the start. I'm not sure that I missed anything. A couple of Porsches, actually. Lauren Lunster in a Jägermeister liveried Porsche, the 935. And we actually have another category of 935 here, Mark Jonzo, who has the K2 935 rather than the K3, so a slightly older and slower variant, and that's why Jonzo often struggles to fight with the Div 2 cars, because that Porsche is really, it's technically a Div 1, but it really shouldn't be, and it's been very kind of outclassed in Division 1 this season. So anyway, I believe that is all of the drivers. Let's look at Maxime, whoopsie daisy, Maxime Tendel getting it very wrong over the curbs there, and Jari Lakkinen getting held up in all of that. Here's Michal Mazurek, not having the greatest of qualifying so far, wants to improve on that. Kirill Kirilov doing amazingly as always. Always one of the fastest drivers in the league. Now I think this is an outlap because judging by his time he should have completed the lap by now, so yes indeed an outlap for Kirill. Stojanovic, is this an outlap? This looks like a flying lap actually. Stojanovic currently almost 0.6 of a second faster than anyone else as it stands. Very, very fast in the Toyota Celica, as he always is. And expected, as always, to be one of the main contenders for a race victory today. Slightly down on his sector time, though, so I'm not sure if this is going to be an improvement. Let's take a look at. Interestingly, neither of the classes appear to be very close in terms of the fight for pole position right now. It looks as if Stojanovic and Talviti may be pretty safe in those positions. Here comes Santini trying to break into the top 3 in Division 1. One of the Ford Capris, very rattly sounding engine as it brakes towards the final chicane. And Santini is going to go, I think, potentially a little bit quicker. Nope, slightly down on his. Oh no, he is. Never mind. Wait a second. I keep forgetting that the split times are registered against the leader's time rather than their own. So Santini does improve with that. 133.272. Very good lap for Matteo. Puts him on the front row of the grid. And honestly, that's not too far a pull. I'm going to stick with Matteo here to see if he can get any closer, providing this is another flying lap. Because I think if Stojanovic is going to be challenged for pole, Santini's pretty much the only person who can do it. And look at that! 1.5 tenths of a second up in the first sector. Matteo Santini is flying. Oh dear, gets the curb slightly wrong. He'd have lost a bit of time in that. But did he lose too much? He still seems to be pushing. His lap's still on. Lagodin goes up to 6th ahead of the Div 2s. Oh, Santini loses it! Or does he? Well, that may have just been... No, Okay, I'm going to keep watching this. That didn't look ideal through the second chicane. And yeah, surely it's going to be down on his time now. Almost 4 tenths of a second down. Probably, well, I was expecting it to be further down, because that's only about 2 tenths down on his own lap. And he could probably gain that, actually. Let's keep watching in the final sector. Stojanovic is in the pits. He knows that he's probably done enough here. And Talviti also in the pits in Div 2. Oh, and Santini's going to lose it out of the chicane and into the wall. That was a hard hit, and that is going to be the end of his qualifying. So Santini not able to improve on his lap. He stays second, but not a bad effort at all. Phil Brown also gets very sideways there. It's almost like it's raining out on track currently. I know that it isn't, but anyway. And Brown, I think, is going to lose out on his lap due to a result. Yes, he does. Anyone else still to cross the line? Oh, Tim Muttram, one of the main contenders in this league. Can he get into the top 2? No, so close. Look at that. 7 thousandths of a second off Santini. That was very, very close. But Muttram, if he finishes in that position, he will win the Div 1 championship. But that's still not quite the best that he could have done, I think. But anyway, here comes Kirill Kirilov. He he has quite a bit of time to gain if he's going to go up to Div 2 pole, almost 6 tenths of a second. Let's see what he does with this lap. Across the line. No, it was always going to be difficult. So I think it's safe to say that Stojanovic is on pole in Div 1 and Talviti is on pole in Div 2. That's the lot then. And we now see the full grid. So it is Filip Stojanovic, Matteo Santini, Tim Muttram, Phil Brown, Laurent Lunds, Stefan Lagodin, Tony Talviti, Kirill Kirilov, Michal Mazurek, Paul Anstey, Jos Ergos, Max Shepard, John van der Geest, Jari Lakkinen, Mark Jonzo, Maxim Tendil, and Kimi Martikainen. Let's count how many Div 2 cars there are quickly. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a 6. So providing we get suddenly 5 more drivers in, it looks to me as if Talviti wins the Div 2 championship before the race even starts. He does still need to start the race though. John van der Geest there saying, hi Caitlin, have a good one, and Jos Ogos saying, all the best Caitlin. Thank you guys. Let me just type that in the chat there. And good luck to all drivers as well. And of course, with there being 6 Div 2 drivers, that means there are 11 Div 1 cars, meaning that the Div 1 championship is still technically open. But at this rate, it is going to need, they are going to have to require Tim Muttram to have quite a poor race if either Lons or Stojanovic are going to be in contention for the championship here. So anyway, the session about to take over, and could we get a brand new winner in this series, or even 2? We haven't had that many duplicate winners, only 1 in each category. Tim Muttram winning 2 in Div 1, and Tony Talviti winning 2 in Div 2. The rest of them have been pretty much a free-for-all, and that's great to see, because it really means that... Sorry, yeah, it really means that anyone who enters has a good chance. But anyway, so we're now preparing for the start of the race. Once again, Stojanovic, Santini, Muttram, Brown, Lons, Lagodin, Talviti, Kirilov, Mazurek and Anstey, the top 10. Only 2 of those Div 2 cars, Talviti and Kirilov. And third in Div 2 is going to be Jos Ogos in the Escort. Shepard out of the top 3. Qualifying not normally her forte, so let's see if she can keep it under control in the race. There's the Celica, the sole Celica of Filip Stojanovic, leading this race, and it's going to start in just a few seconds time, actually. Not that long to go, and then we will be underway for an hour's worth of racing here at Zolder. And go! Away we go! The race has begun! And Stojanovic is going to lead us down to turn 1, I believe. Oh, and that's Shepard! Look at that! Shepard already involved in chaos at the back! Oh my goodness! There's Jonzo's involved, and is that John Van der Geest also involved? Anstey had to check up. He's got a lot of scratches on his car. Oh, and there's even more chaos on the exit of turn 1. Santini's off. Muttrum's off. Oh, Muttrum! So the Div 1 championship could still be open. What has happened here? And Lons! Laurent Lons is off. So suddenly the championship is wide open for Stojanovic. Well, it all depends on what Muttrum can do and where he is on class. Muttrum's now ahead of Lons. So let's look up to the front. Stojanovic leads it already by 4.5 seconds. Jos Ogos is second and leading Div 2. Jos Ogos leads Div 2. It's just like at the Lartitz ring. And that was one of the messiest starts that I've seen. Mazurek is second in Div 1, only third in the order. Tendil is second in Div 2. Lagodin third in Div 1. Talviti down to third in Div 2. This is absolute carnage. Now let's count where Muttrum is in class. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if they were to finish like this, well, I don't really want to work it out just yet. If it was Lons currently leading and not Stojanovic, then Lons would be in championship winning contention. But it's still very early in the race to be talking about that. The end of the first lap of the race, and Filip Stojanovic has a massively, goodness me, 5.8 seconds ahead of Jos Ogos, and over that in terms of the class lead. There's Michal Mazurek. I can barely believe what I saw at the start there. I don't know what caused it. It looked to me as if Shepard and someone else made contact in the mid-pack, but whatever happened at turn 1 is a completely separate matter, and honestly I have no idea. But anyway, the race does continue somehow, and Lagodin is up to 4th overall. Let's look at Talviti versus Tendil. This is for second in class. And Ogos, he won't believe that he's running second overall. He has never ran this high in a race like this before. In class he has, of course, but not in the race overall. And Muttrum's dropping again. Look at that. We've got real So I was just listening in to see if we could hear an engine noise. I think there is. Brown running over the chicane. Muttrum is in real trouble here. And so too is his championship challenge. He must have heavy damage. He's just let Santini through. Down into the chicane. I really do not know what's going on with Tim Muttrum here. Now it's worth quickly working out how many points Stojanovic needs to win this championship today. But let's keep watching the... And Talviti's off! My goodness, what is going on? Well, Talviti, of course, is already the champion of Div 2. He won that just by starting the race. I'm not sure if he knows it or not, but anyway. And that puts Kirilov up to P3 in class, and they're going 3 wide on the start-finish straight! What is going on here? Kirilov now, with the slipstream up the inside of Tendil. Anstey and Lakinen swap places ahead of him, and Kirilov takes second in class. And there is a big, big gap between second and first in Div 2. I'm not sure even Kirilov can catch that, but it is very early in the race. So, the points difference between first and third in the championship is 22 points. Now, 22 is the difference between... Let me just work this out. It's the difference between first and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10th place. So, I believe that means that if Muttrum comes 10th or worse in the class order, and Stojanovic wins, which is the current situation, I should point out, then Stojanovic would win. Anyway, Lagodin's past Mazurek, so that's 3rd place now. Lagodin, his second in Div 1. He has never been this high up. Lagodian, of course, still yet to score even a podium in this category. His average finishing position has been 7th. And now he's running 3rd, or 2nd, effectively 3rd. Or 3rd, effectively 2nd, depending on how you see it. Brown and Santini are off, so there's been a collision between Brown and Santini. Brown gets going. Santini struggling a bit more, and I think that puts Muttram back into championship winning contention. Because... yes, it does, because there are 11 Div 1 cars, so the fact that he's now ahead of 3 of them means that he's back in championship winning contention. This could go either way, depending on what happens to Muttram here. Santini now into the pits. And what utter chaos! I don't think I've ever seen a start to a race like this. Lons is now ahead of Tendil. Now that's not too important. That wasn't for category position. And Lons really needs something to happen to Stojanovic now. Otherwise he's going to end up 3rd in the championship, let alone winning it. Stojanovic now leads by 14 seconds. Jos Ogos somehow still 2nd. Lagodian is catching on him actually. Lagodian stands a chance of getting 2nd overall in this. And Michal Mazurek close to him for 3rd. Of course, they swapped places not too long ago. Goodness me. I'm gonna have a quick look back at the start of the race, see if I can spot what happened further back in the pack. But I'm not sure that I'm actually going to be able to see anything. It looks as if Max Shepard went over to her left-hand side of the track, and I don't know if she touched the wall or touched someone else or just lit up the rear tyres, but she skewed across the track and clattered into Anstey and all of the other Div 2s, and then something else happened on the exit of turn 2, because suddenly there were cars scattered everywhere there as well, or turn 1 rather. So whatever happened at the start will remain a mystery until we see replays of it. Hello to Ike Sky, who says, "Ooh, Zolder, this looks awesome." Indeed it does, and it's been a pretty awesome race so far. Yeah, pleased to see you here. We should catch up at some point, Ike. Haven't spoken to you in a while. Hope you're doing okay. Good evening as well to Brett Metcalf, who says good evening in the chat. I'm not sure if I've already mentioned that or not. Talviti dropping again. Looks as if Talviti is maybe run through the chicane there. And being passed by Martikainen. Now that puts... so Kirillov is 2nd in Div 2. Tendil back up to 3rd. And here's Kirillov, who's actually on the back of Lons here. Goodness me, that shows you just how shaken up this order is. And Muttram and Tendil going side by side in the background. Let's just watch that to see if it remains clean. Tendil going slightly deep into the corner. Muttram puts the power down. Seems that he's got his pace back. I don't know why he was slow towards the start after his instance, but he's got it back now. And he's up to 9th overall, passing Maxime Tendil. Now Brown and Santini are out, and I believe that means that Tim Muttram... well, no, so it doesn't mean that Muttram is necessarily champion. It means that Stojanovic now cannot win the championship. So Stojanovic knocked out of contention because he needed Muttram to finish 10th or lower, and there are now only 9 Div 1s remaining in the race, so that means that Stojanovic, despite leading this race by 20 seconds, will not win the championship, and it's between Lons and Muttram, and Lons of course needs to pretty much win with, as Lagodian there has got past Ogos at last for 2nd place. That was always going to happen. Ice Guy says, "My wheel is broken, so I'm living my racing vicariously through your excellent coverage." Oh, thank you. Sorry to hear about your wheel. But anyway, you have an exciting championship finale to watch here. I'm not sure if you caught the start or not, but just a quick recap. It was absolutely carnage. I honestly do not know what happened, but the order flipped on its head. Jos Ogos, who started about 5th in his class, ended up 2nd overall, not just in his class, and the 10 cars in front of him or whatever went scattering everywhere. Absolutely crazy. And Stojanovic, as a result, was given a 22-second lead, as it is now. Talviti has just got back past Van der Geest, incidentally. Now, starting another lap, Lagodin is second, which is his highest position that he's been running in all season long. And Argos third. And second was his highest position of the season as well. Class victory for Jos Argos though. Mutram has now passed Kirillov, so Mutram ahead of most of the Div 2 runners, with the exception of Jos Argos. And that means that he is 7th in class. So Mutram, this won't be the way he wants to win the championship, but he just needs to keep it clean. And even if they were to finish in this position, he would win it. Vasilis Dumana says, "Oh dear, Jos is on fire." Well, he doesn't appear to be literally on fire, so I hope you mean on fire in the good way. But anyway, yeah, he is absolutely flying in this race so far. And what a start as well. Must have absolutely threaded the needle through the carnage. I'd love to see a replay of this after the race or something, but anyway. So, this crazy race continues. Talviti, incidentally, has got back past Tendil, and now Van der Geest is on the back of Tendil for 4th in class, as Tendil will begin to drop back from Talviti, but we've seen Talviti go off a number of times. He needs to keep it clean. Towards the fast chicane. We're over 10 minutes of the way through already, and but still 48 and a bit minutes remain in this 1 hour race. We're not expecting pit stops today. You can make pit stops, you're allowed to per the rules, but you really shouldn't, and if you do, you're going to lose a lot of time. As we saw at the first round of the championship, Lewis Dufour ended up potentially losing that race through having to make a pit stop. We later found out that there was a problem with the tyre model on the Fords that made them especially vulnerable to tyre wear, as Mazurek there vaults over the curb. He's catching Argos here for 3rd place in the order, 3rd place overall. Shepard, incidentally, no longer running in last place. Martikainen has dropped back, and there's Kimi Martikainen in a Div 2 BMW. Now, Martikainen I don't think was running in a Div 2 BMW before, so that's a new addition to the Div 2 category. But anyway, Laurent Lons now passing Paul Anstey. He's got a long way to go if he's going to fight for this championship still, but that is a position gained. He's up into 5th overall. Anstey's Ferrari very fast in a straight line, but so is the Porsche, both of them very slippery through the air. Anstey getting a slightly better line through the final chicane, but I think the Lons is going to get away a little here. On to another lap. Mazurek looked a little feisty through that corner. He was not quite sideways, all-wheel drifting, but anyway. And Tim Mutram has swapped places with Lackinen a couple of times. Mutram 7th overall, 6th in class. Jari Lackinen 1 place down from him, of course. It's unusual to see those two fighting. Normally Mutram is coming through to lap this bunch of cars, maybe with the exception of Laurent Lons. But today, a crazy start has shaken up the order, and it means that we really don't know what's going on right now. But anyway, I think Mazurek probably will take 3rd soon. He's got a much faster car, but Jos Argos holding strong for now. And wouldn't it be incredible if a Div 2 car was able to score an overall podium in this series? Stojanovic has just set the fastest lap of the race, 1:34.483, and he now leads by 29 seconds. Surely at this rate he's going to win by well over a minute. This is incredible. Mutram has now got past Paul Anstey, so Mutram still carving through the field. And his next target is his main championship rival, Laurent Lons. That would add insult to injury for Lons if Muttram was able to come through after that horrendous start. But anyway, the leader now has a 30-second gap. That's half a minute, and we're only 15 minutes into this race already. That's incredible. That's 2 seconds per minute that he's been pulling out. And that shows you the speed difference between Stojanovic and pretty much everyone else in this field at this point in time. Pretty special there. John van der Geest and Maxim Tendel are off. I think they may have come together. Shepard going through. So Shepard threads the needle, and it looks as if Van der Geest may be waiting for Tendel, so that's sporting. Van der Geest obviously feels that he caused that incident and has waited for Tendel to go back through, as I've got a brief case of the hiccups again. Shepard now up to 4th in Division 2. Let's look back up to Mazurek. It looks as if he may be about to take 3rd. And the longer he spends behind Josogos, the more chances that he has of being passed by Lons and Muttram. Ice Guy says, was Muttram involved in that collision at the start? Could damage account for his relative lack of pace? Yeah, almost certainly. I mean, he was one of the drivers facing backwards after turn 1, and then seemed to be pretty slow for the few corners afterwards. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he has some damage. Not sure how much, but anyway. So, oh, Mazurek sideways. Mazurek is in the gravel. Look at that. So Lons going through. Mazurek did well to hold on to the car as well as he did. It wasn't a full spin, but he's going to lose 2 places because Muttram goes through on the inside. So Lons and Muttram now 4th and 5th. This is looking a bit more like it for them. They're usually in the podium positions, but anyway, especially Muttram. But yeah, slight mistake from Mazurek there. And surely Lons and Muttram are going to monster Argos's escort before long. They're in different classes, they have much more power, and they're a bit less like a brick, so they're more likely to be streamlined through the air as well. Into the second of the 3 chicanes on the lap, and towards the faster part of the course where I really expect that Lons and Muttram will come through. Mazurek needs to try to follow them through. Lons and Muttram still stand a good chance of catching Lagodin in this, depending on how quickly they get past Ogos. But anyway, I'd like to point out that Tim Muttram isn't really that slow at this point in time, as Lons does go through to 3rd overall. There we go. That was always going to happen. And that doesn't affect the class positions at all. Lons is still 3rd, Argos is still 1st. And Tim Muttram is going to go through here as well. There he goes. That was relatively easy, and Argos did all that he needed to. But as I was saying, Tim Muttram, not really that slow at all. He's possibly a bit slower than usual, but then again, he is caught up in traffic. He's having to pass people and set up passes. Whereas Stojanovic is just running away, and therefore setting all of the really fast laps. Now, I've been in Stojanovic's position where I've been, you know, contending with a few other drivers who have all taken each other off at the start, and then just been able to run away with it. That happened to me at Brands Hatch a little while ago. Almost 2 years ago. Well, it would have been 2 years ago now. Over that. In a Formula 1 1976 race with SimRacingOnline. Oh, Mazurek taking a little look at Lons, but backs out of it. But yeah, that day it was Dino Paolini and someone else who were challenging me, and they both took each other off at turn 1, and I ended up winning that by about 50 seconds. It's a great feeling, and Stojanovic looks as if he is having one of those days. Not to curse him or anything, we're still in the first third of the race. Now Muttram is going to have another go at Lons here. I'm pretty sure he's close enough. Takes a look to the outside line, has to back out of it. Here comes the chicane. And that's not really an overtaking opportunity unless you are properly alongside your opponent. Muttram gets a much better exit. It's exits where he appears to be stronger. And across the line. much quicker on that lap. But Lons has the inside for turn 1. And then, of course, turn 2 as well, due to the switchback. Now here's Muttrum's chance. Here's where he can use the better exit to his advantage, get alongside his championship rival, and that is rubbing salt in the wounds for Laurent Lons as he goes through to take 3rd position and consolidate his championship lead. Tim Muttrum driving a very nice recovery drive so far. And what can he do about Stefan Lagodin for 2nd position? Laurent Lons will be in clean air fairly soon, unless he can keep up with Tim Muttrum, which he wants to do, because if Muttrum does end up attacking Lagodin, Lons could do with that help in... Oh, as Jonzo, Mark Johnson, as his official name is parked at an awkward angle coming out of turn 3 there. And through goes John van der Geest. And Jonzo again not having a brilliant day. The Porsche K2 hasn't dealt him that well this season. It's quite a long way off the K1's performance. But anyway, he's still with as Mazurek now has passed Ogos. So that's another clean pass, with the Div 1s getting past Div 2s. And it looks as if Ogos... Oh, as Kirilov is off from Div 2, and he's hit the... Oh, that's difficult. That's a dangerous angle. Somehow only 3 retired. Or right here, are we back online? Looks like we may be. Yes, we are. Okay, well, apologies about that. We lost the last few minutes of the race. Effectively, what has happened is that Lons has passed Lagodin. Lagodin made a little error, and Lons went through. And apart from that, nothing much. Talviti has caught up to Ogos, but yeah, that is about it. It appears to have lost all of our live viewers. That is such a shame. I'm really sorry. Oh god, yeah, I don't know why the stream stopped working. It's very much like what happened last time, where I lost qualifying and didn't even realise. But anyway, whatever the case, we're back now, and we do have a live stream for you still, and it's an exciting race so far. Just to recap, Stojanovic leading by 42 seconds over Tim Muttrum. And then Laurent Lons is 3rd in the Div 1 class, as Muttrum is heading to what looks to be a championship winning position. Jos Ogos is leading Div 2, but it's very close between him and Tony Talviti, and Ogos appears to be slightly disconcerted by Jari Lakkinen ahead of him. Max Shepard, incidentally, 3rd in Division 2. And we've had problems in this race for, well, pretty much everyone actually, apart from Stojanovic and Ogos. But anyway, the race continues. So, over the crest of the hill, under the Martini banner, and Talviti is getting closer and closer to Ogos. Ogos had an amazing start to this race, and Talviti was caught up in the starting incident somehow, but he is still not giving up on this. Down to the hairpin they go. Brakes locking up slightly. Now, if I do lose the stream again and anyone notices, I would very much appreciate if you could put it in the YouTube chat so I can see and deal with it, rather than just speak to myself for the next 5 minutes like I have done just then. But anyway, Yeah, sorry about that. Nonetheless. Most of the viewers of SimRacingOnline streams watch it afterwards anyway. It's often drivers doing the race that come back and see how they did and what happened and how it looked from an outside point of view. And if you're one of those drivers or someone else involved in the race, then hello to you from the past. Hope everything's a bit better in the future. And yeah. Anyway, Tony Talviti still right on the back of Jos Ogos. Just he was a lap ago. It's difficult to. It's relatively difficult to catch up to the driver in front, but as soon as you do, it gets even tougher to follow them. These cars do produce some dirty air. They have diffusers, they have rear wings, they have aerodynamic profiles, and they don't really slipstream that well. So, anyway, towards the end of another lap go Ogos and Talviti. And the battle between the pair continues. Let's see what the lap times are this next time around. It's going to be about the same between the two, to be honest, because Talviti hasn't got that much closer. About a tenth or so faster than Ogos. Oh, it's Lackinen gets a little sideways there. Oh, very sideways. He's going to be holding up Ogos on the exit here. This could be Talviti's chance to take the lead of Division 2. Talviti, who's already won the championship, would love to end this series with another victory to become the only 3-time winner of either category in this 6-round race. That is, of course, excluding the one-off non-championship round that was held at Suzuka, because that did not count as part of the championship, and Lackinen's gone off and bang into the wall. Now Lackinen's going to have some damage from that, but luckily for him, it was front on, and you don't end up getting too much damage from that. Suspension damage is a real issue in this simulator, in which case you would have to hit awkwardly at an angle, but anyway. So, Ogos and Talviti still fighting, and they're now clear of Lackinen, and that's not good news for Talviti, because Ogos, as I said, looked to be getting a little disconcerted by him. Now Matikainen, I think, is just recovering from an off, and Van de Gies is in the pits. And Van de Gies having real problems. Not sure if his engine's on there, actually, so Van de Gies may be out of the race. And drops to the back of the pack, so 13 cars remaining in this race, it seems. Shame for John Van de Gies. That is, unless, of course, he can make it back onto the track. If you do make it back to the pits, you are allowed to repair any damage and go back out again. But that looked pretty serious for John Van de Gies there, whatever the issue was. Here comes the battle for Div 2. Ogos, they're getting a little twitchy on exit. Talviti getting a much better exit. Once again. And they're side by side. Look at that. They're side by side heading down to the chicane. This is a tough place to go neck and neck. And they're both... Wow. So Ogos vaults over the chicanes. I don't know if Talviti will be best pleased about that, actually. But anyway. Ogos had the inside. But they were pretty much level going into the chicane that time around. That was very, very close. It looked as if there might be an overtake about to be pulled. If you're watching along, let me know what you thought of that, because Ogos did put all 4 wheels over the line on both sides, and Talviti didn't. But do you think Ogos had the corner? Do you think it was fair? I think I'd probably give a warning for that if I was a steward. Not a penalty, but I'd go for a warning. Anyway, Ogos still leading. Talviti less than half a second behind as they cross the start-finish line again. into turn 1. They're catching some traffic. That's Martikainen. He's a lap down. And this could be Talviti's chance, depending on how reluctant Martikainen is to give way. He shouldn't be too reluctant. He's not fighting anyone at this point in time. Ooh, little slide from Martikainen there. Yeah, Martikainen 45 seconds behind someone else, just recovering from an off a couple of laps ago, and he's going to have another one. Talviti into the wall. And I was scared there that he was going to bounce out into the path of Talviti. Luckily he didn't. Does he have too much damage? Oh my goodness. Well, he came straight back across on Stojanovic there. Stojanovic avoiding drama as well, luckily. In Martikainen's defense, that's a difficult and awkward place to recover from, but anyway. Back to the scrap for the lead in Div 2. Argos versus Talviti. Muttrum's last lap was very slow there. I wonder whether he got caught up in some back markers. Doesn't really matter, he's not fighting anyone, but anyway. Just keeping an eye on him anyway to make sure that everything is going alright in his race. Here come Argos and Talviti. And this scrap is looking increasingly likely to go down to the wire, actually. Because we're into the last 14 minutes of the timer. When the timer ticks to 0, the lap they are on, or the lap the overall leader is on, Filip Stojanovic, will be the final lap of the race. And when he crosses the line, everyone who crosses the line after him will have finished no matter what lap they're on. But anyway, now the fact that we just saw Stojanovic in the background of the shot with Martikainen's issues shows me that these two will have to be worried. We'll have to be a little cautious of Stojanovic before long. I think in a couple of minutes he's going to come through to lap them. Talviti getting very racy on the exit. Look at that, all over the back of Argos. This is not normally an overtaking opportunity. He's forcing Argos to take an in-ideal line, goes over the all the way over the curbs. Now Talviti's going to take advantage of that, because while Argos' tyres were flailing in the air, Talviti's were on the tarmac, gripping and spinning. But Argos keeps the lead. This is great racing between the two of them. Argos so good in defence, he has been all season long. And even when he's up against the faster driver, he doesn't give up. Doesn't just let them go through like some people might. But anyway. And again, towards the end of another lap, it looks as if Argos is going to lead yet another lap of this race. He's led since the very first lap. Almost led the race overall at the start, to be honest. He was second overall for quite a while. And Talviti gets a better exit, but he's nowhere near close enough that time around. Argos' lap technically quicker. Through turn 1, fire spitting out the back of both cars. That's supposed to happen. Sorry, taking a quick drink of water there. John Van der Geest incidentally is back in the race. So Van der Geest, who we saw coming into the pits a few laps ago, is back on the track, but Martikainen, I'm afraid, is in the pits. So it looks as if we've gained one and lost one. Van der Geest 2 laps down from his main rivals on track though, so he is just going to try to pick up points if other people retire. And see what he can do. Often if I'm in Van der Geest's situation and I find myself a lap or two behind anyone else, and I know that there's no chance of improving my position, what I do is I go for fastest lap or fastest lap in class, and you know, that at least helps me get some kind of gratification out of the race. The only difficulty though is, like, you know, you have to be careful not to get in the way of anyone who is still fighting in the race properly, but you know, you're still allowed to be in the race and allowed to set fastest lap if you can. Now Stojanovic, I keep seeing him in the background of these shots. He is about to lap these two, and they need to make sure that as much as they want to fight each other, they don't get in the way of the overall race leader and make it too difficult for him. Into turn 2. August there, really slowing it down mid-corner. I think he was trying to slow up Talviti a little. Oh, Talviti a little twitchy on the exit. He is really struggling to find a way past Jos Urgos here. We're into the final 10 minutes of the timer now. This is a really tense battle with Stojanovic approaching them like the creature from It Follows. Over the crest again. We must be on lap 30 something by now. And still, Talviti is stuck behind Jos Urgos. Car number 52 versus car number 2, I think. Let's see if I remembered that correctly. Maybe 6. I don't know if that's I don't know why that's ringing a bell. 1. Okay, never mind. I was completely wrong. Whatever the case. Martikainen now back onto the road, and he's still ahead of John van der Geest. So well done to Martikainen, and props to him for continuing. Oh, contact no! And they're around! Look at that! Jos Urgos is facing backwards! Now where's Shepard going to be? Now Urgos has found one of the solid bollards. He's going to take a long time to get going here. He does get going now. I don't think there'll be too much damage from that. Is Talviti waiting for him? Yes, surely. Look at that. Now Talviti knows that he simply ran into the back of Urgos there, just misjudged it. That is not how they wanted that to go. Shepard's a lot closer to them, although I think still about 15 or so seconds back. But they need to make sure that that doesn't happen again, otherwise Shepard could still win this race, goodness me. And Urgos does retake the lead. That's, well, props to Talviti, it was his mistake, but he's been sporting about it and waited for Jos Urgos to reclaim that position. And now Assetto's immediately about trying to get back at him again. And that of course allowed Stojanovic to get past them without too much issue. A little bit anticlimactic, but anyway. Would have been sort of scary for Stojanovic to see a slow-moving car and another car facing backwards on the exit of the chicane, but he got through it okay. And they're all still in the race and going for it. So, Urgos and Talviti, 9 seconds out of Lackinen, but Lackinen not fighting with them directly. I think Martikainen's had another off. Let's just check that that's all okay. He's resuming and no one else appears to be involved. Now he's just ahead of Urgos and Talviti actually. The lead scrap, which is still going on after all this time. I said it was going to go to the end. It still looks as if it might, and maybe probably will. This is so close. Less than 7 minutes remaining now. In terms of the overall order, Stojanovic still leads by 42 seconds ahead of Tim Muttram, who has an 8-second advantage over Laurent Lutens, and therefore is in championship winning position. Then it's Stefan Legodin, Michal Mazurek, Paul Anstey, and then this fight for the lead of Division 2 between Jos Urgos and Tony Talviti. Jari Lackinen is following them. Max Shepard is third in Div 2. Then it's Kirill Kirilov, Mark Jonzo, Kimi Martikainen, and John van der Geest is pretty much out of it, and Martikainen I think's had another incident. Oh, he's right there, look at that! Well, lucky that the leaders didn't get involved in that. Martikainen rejoining. Takes the gravel rather than rejoining straight in front of Lackinen there. And clean, jolly good. Well, it wasn't actually as close as I thought it was, because looking back at the replay, he was off on the grass. Probably lost under braking coming into the chicane. Yeah, he was off on the grass rather than on the edge of the track like I thought he may have been. But anyway, still not an ideal situation for the leaders to see a spun car as they're coming through. Another lap gone. And Ogos still ahead of Talviti, who is still not giving up on this at all. He's still just trying to pressure Ogos into a mistake. That's why he's not going for any crazy lunges now. He knows that he's more likely to just make it end in tears. He just needs to keep putting on the pressure. But Ogos is so good at defending, and Ogos just doesn't really make that many mistakes. I'm afraid to say Talviti's made quite a few more mistakes than Ogos today, which is why he's behind him in the first place. But anyway, Talviti definitely the faster driver of the two. But if Ogos hangs on to this, then he will very much deserve it. Shepard also under attack from Kirilov. That's for third in class. So Shepard's really got to try hard to hold off Kiril there. Let's take a quick look at that actually, since Talviti appears to have lost a bit of time. This is the scrap for third in Div 2, and they've got traffic. That's Martikainen just ahead of them. Talviti's really dropping from Ogos. He's over 1.5 seconds behind now. Possibly made a couple of mistakes there. But anyway, what can Kiril? Oh, looks up slightly. I think he was a little bit surprised by Shepard's braking. Now they've both cleared Kimi Martikainen, who actually went off to get out of their way. It's always funny when backmarkers do that, but it's effective. And yeah, Talviti's last lap a lot slower than Ogos's, so I think he did make a mistake at some point. Will Kirilov make a mistake, or can he get past Max Shepard? This one could also go down to the wire. Div 1 hasn't been too exciting in the recent laps, but Div 2 providing all the action that we need here. And Talviti right onto the back of Ogos again. He is right back up there on the straight, showing himself to Ogos's mirrors. Ogos keeps the car under control. Talviti faster through the chicane though. Now down into the second chicane. Look how close Talviti is. What can he do? Ogos shows him the wider line. Again, great defense from Jos Ogos. He knows exactly what he's doing here. Towards the end of the course. Now, depending on where Stojanovic is, we may only have one more lap after this one. I think probably 2 more laps for the Div 2 cars. Well, these ones that we're watching. And yeah, Stojanovic has just completed a lap, so I'm going to say 2 more laps probably for the Div 2 cars that we're watching, and for the leader. So, 2 more opportunities for Talviti to strike. Here's one of them. And he was very fast into turn 1 there, but he's going off. Look at that. Talviti running wide. And almost loses it on the curb. Got very, very squirrely there. It almost looked as if Talviti thought he was going to have a go into turn 1. And then had to straighten the steering up when he realised it wasn't going to work. Kirilov also losing a bit of time to Shepard on that lap. And that may be a crucial overtaking opportunity gone for Talviti. He still has 1 more lap to deliver it though. Once again under the banner. And Jos Ogos is driving one of the races of his life. I believe his previous win was actually at the Nordschleife, which, to be honest, will probably be the race of his life, since winning at the Nordschleife is something that everyone wants to do. Martikainen off again, facing backwards. And looks to be a clean rejoin. Oh! What's happened to Talviti? Has he... Oh, he's hit Ogos again! Look at that! There's been contact again! Well, my apologies that we missed that. That's the second time that these two have come together. And whatever happened between the two, that's given Ogos a 2-second lead. That may have given him the win there. Stojanovic is on to his last lap. But yeah, goodness me, something happened between Argos and Talviti. I presume Talviti, by the way, was waiting. I presume he just ran into the back of Argos for the second time. That is really uncharacteristic from Tony Talviti. And if Argos wins this, he's going to really deserve it, because he has been beaten black and blue over the course of this event. So, final lap now for Filip Stojanovic. He does have traffic up ahead. That's Paul Anstey in the Ferrari, showing just how fast Stojanovic has been. But what a wonderful drive this has been from Filip. He's not quite going to win by a minute like I said he would earlier on in this race, but still, 43 seconds is nothing to be sniffed at by any means. Into the chicane, out of the chicane, and Filip Stojanovic. What a drive, and what a driver. And Talviti, I think, has had another incident. Yeah, look at that. Talviti's been off in the chicane. He may still come under attack from Shepard here, but anyway, let's watch Stojanovic, who comes out of the final corner, and Stojanovic is going to win fantastically here at Zolder. What a drive. Tim Muttram is still on course to win overall, but let's take a look. Oh wow, Shepard really is attacking Talviti here. Here's his last opportunity. Look at this. Here's her last opportunity. Into the hairpin. And Talviti shuts the door. Let's just watch Argos as Argos comes through to win in Division 2. A fantastically well-deserved drive. And I'd love to have seen what Argos could have done if he'd made every round. And here comes Tim Muttram. He is going to be the overall champion. He wins Division 1, finishing second in this particular race. Shepard, or Talviti, just hangs on to second in Div 2. Shepard third in class. Laurent Luns finishes third in Div 1. He fought valiantly right to the end. A good final round, but it wasn't quite enough to keep the championship, or to win the championship at the dead. Here comes Lagodian. Great drive from him. But anyway, congrats to our podium finishers, Stojanovic, Muttram and Luns, Argos, Talviti and Shepard, and our champions, of course, Tim Muttram and Tony Talviti. Let's watch everyone else come across the line. Michal Mazurek, little way behind Lagodian at the end, but he is going to finish 5th. And then Paul Anstey will be the last driver to cross the line in 6th position. This has been a very exciting championship of SimRacingOnline DRM action. Thank you all for following it all the way through. And as I said, big congratulations to both of our champions, Tim Muttram and Tony Talviti. So, that's the lot. And from me and everyone here at SimRacingOnline, keep your eyes peeled for any future series that we're going to be